Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 101-91 loss to the Brooklyn Nets. It's been a while since we've had to say loss, Riker, at the start of a podcast, so I throw the question to you right off the bat. Should the Raptors tank the rest of the season for LaMelo Ball?
LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards is actually number one on the prospect draft board, and then we have a few others, James Wiseman, Isaac Okoro from Auburn, but Ben, no. We've probably titled the video, Should the Raptors Tank Now? Of course not. You just hate to lose in such disappointing fashion against the Brooklyn Nets, the most despised team of you.
Of
Maybe
me,
not
yes.
me, but this was a loathsome watch, Ben. This was just a disgusting basketball.
It was gloom. It was sad. Obviously, the Raptors should not tank this season, but it did make me. When the Raptors are fine, this is just a game where the shots weren't going down. No one could make any of the regular shots, but to lose to the Brooklyn Nets on a day before the All-Star break, all you needed was to get one more win, and then we have another week of bliss, another week of a 16-game win streak at that point to go along to. All the media, they started talking about us a little bit, talking about the long win streak. If we could have that going into the All-Star break, it would truly be euphoria for Raptors fans and Nick Nurse and all those guys going up to All-Star. But unfortunately, the Nets had to come into this game. They played very solid defense on the Raptors, but a lot of it was just guys like Siakam, Lowry. Fred started hitting his shots a lot at the end, but all the bench guys just couldn't make the shots that they usually make. And the Nets, they didn't play that well either. The Raptors played solid defense on them, but obviously when the Raptors only score 91 points in today's NBA, that's not going to cut it for a W.
No, it's absolutely not, Ben. And you sort of hit the nail on the head. Our big name scorers that we've just become so accustomed to over this past 15-game stretch leading up to tonight, they just weren't able to put the ball in the bucket. And I think Jack summed it up. He said, it's difficult as analysts right now because we really have to chalk it up to just they're not making shots, right?
Yep.
Kyle Lowry's not making a shots. Fred VanVleet, he's not really making a shots. It was really only Serge Ibaka that was keeping the Raptors in this game whatsoever, Ben.
And Fred got hot at the end. Fred was hitting threes in the fourth quarter, but obviously through the thick of this game, throughout most of it, the first, second quarters, it was all Brooklyn Nets, and the Raptors they looked lethargic out there. They looked tired. They looked like they were ready for the All-Star break. The Raptors have been obviously missing Marc Gasol, Norman Powell now for a large stretch of games. Serge Ibaka missed the last one, and this break is coming at a perfect time for this Raptors team, who have been depleted, have been relying on so many different guys. And yes, Ibaka had an amazing night tonight, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 5 of 10 from the three-point line. We've been bringing up the whole season how his three-point shot is such more improved, and we could talk about more about him maybe later. But I think the biggest downfall in this game wasn't necessarily the starters, despite the fact they had poor shooting nights. It was just we couldn't get any scoring off our bench, and usually that's the role of Norman Powell, and that's what he's been playing this season. But TD has stepped up over the past few games since Norm has gone down to give that scoring influx. But tonight, only 1 point from TD, 0 of 6 from the field, and no one else really could step up off the bench either.
Ben, you're making the argument here for the bench. I'm just making the argument for the game in general because we've had criticisms over Pascal Siakam during our win streak that he doesn't seem to have, at times, the ability to step up and dominate or take control of a game down the stretch. Or you could make that argument again tonight that he really should have made shots. And then as well, Kyle Lowry, who's been very consistent, he wasn't seeming to make shots. But, I mean, I chalk a little bit up to tonight. It was pretty gritty. There was a lot of contact on a lot of drives. The refs didn't seem to want to give Toronto a lot of calls. And the classic plays where, Kyle Lowry gets a bump and, he's drawing the contact that usually ends up being a call. Yeah. Exactly. But tonight it didn't seem to be the case. And then when they resorted to their three-point shooters, it was only Fred of late and Pascal Siakam that were really willing to make those shots this evening. So it's a disappointing way to go down. You said it before the podcast even started. You want the game that the Raptors were to end this streak on to at least be a close one, if not against a coveted, playoff matchup
team,
or finals matchup potential, like a top team. Certainly not against the Brooklyn Nets, who are also playing without Kyrie Irving. So it's not the most fun one to digest.
Most definitely. And you bring up Pascal Siakam, he's taken a lot of flack from Raptors fans just because through stretches in these games, even though we've been winning, he hasn't really been taking over, especially down the stretch. And tonight, I don't really know why we didn't go to Siakam more in the post, be aggressive on those wing defenders, because yes, they did throw a couple doubles, but then if he does get doubled, he could swing the ball out more, and our offense, and this is what I was saying, even in games where he struggled, the ball would still be going to Siakam, whether he's missing or throwing the pass or making his shots. If the ball's in his hands, the defense is focused on him, and then the rest of the Raptors guys, that frees up looks for Van Vliet, OG, Serge Ibaka, who's having a wild night tonight, Lowry, who we know can hit shots down the stretch. I think Siakam, despite the fact he was struggling, he needs to demand that ball more. And there was a point in this game where he went on a sort of run on his own. I believe it was the second quarter, I want to say, where he just kept looking to attack. He was missing shots early in this one, kind of being passive with sort of floater-esque bank shots that were 5 feet outside when he could take him one dribble and got those regular Siakam rim finishes. But he started getting those post-ups, started getting those shots, and we know that if Siakam just took Joe Harris or Taurean Prince or Dinwiddie, LeVert, any of those guys in the post on his own, it would be over. It's an easy bucket if he's focused at getting to the rim on those players, and he did it for about a 4-minute stretch of this game, got his offense going, and then didn't really get those shots the rest of this one. He got the ball picked from him once, and then it seemed like his confidence just died the rest of this game. And obviously the threes weren't going.
Did height seem like a factor for you this game, Ben? Because obviously Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan combined, I think they had about 9 offensive rebounds to get combined. I'm not sure if that's the official stat. I think it is. 9 offensive rebounds combined. I was thinking down the stretch, this looked like a game where Marc Gasol could have really been used.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, right. Norman Powell, his energy and his offensive ability off the bench, you could make the argument any game, right? Mm-hmm. He would be a great addition, which is unarguable. But this game in particular, I thought Marc Gasol would have really been valuable down the stretch.
Oh, yeah. Gasol being able to... Because the offensive rebounds were killer for the Toronto Raptors on defense. We were making some stops, but then the momentum would completely shift when the ball would get tipped out to one of LeVert or someone who would come in and get a layup, or Joe Harris who would make a weird mid-range jumper. It was just really deflating, and that's what the unfortunate thing for the Raptors was in this game. Because basketball is a game of runs. You want to get the ball flowing through the hoop so you can continue to get buckets, but they just looked tired and out of it, and then they'd make a little push, they'd get a defensive stop, the other team would get an offensive rebound or a tip out to one of their wing guys, and the momentum just dies on those sorts of plays.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben, and just watching the game, it's difficult because you can't place the blame on one player, on coaching, anything. It just seemed like collectively as a unit, they weren't making shots, they weren't capitalizing on the little stretches that they had, because there was a few makes, right? They did a decent job on defense. They had a few stops. It's just every time they'd get... Sorry?
The defense was solid.
It was solid, but every time they'd get 1 or 2 makes, then they'd go back and they'd, foul and one DeAndre Jordan, or foul and one Jared Allen, or Joe Harris would be wide open for a corner 3, or they'd miss a box out and then they'd lose another 14 seconds off the shot clock. It was just the little things that kept adding up, and they never made any headway. So, disappointing game, Ben, but maybe we'll just swing it into the segments and put people out of their misery. I don't suspect that this will be a very much viewed podcast of ours, but for those that are still trucking along,
let's get into it. Tonight, so we'll swing into segments. Tonight, the spicy P-lay of the day, Riker. I don't know if you have one in mind, but Serge Ibaka hitting those quick triggered threes from the three-point line, that was certainly one positive to take out of this one. I don't know if you have any specific plays in mind outside of those.
Same man, different play. Not Pascal Siakam. Patrick McCaw. He had a nice little baseline drive and then gets the double team step up to him, dumped it off to Serge Ibaka, who it was kind of an interesting dunk. You know how people will bring the ball over the defender when they're doing a Euro step sometimes on the fast break, right? They bring the ball right over the head. It was like that, but he didn't even he didn't pick up his dribble, nothing. He just swung the ball over the head and then just one step through, finishes with a cram. So same man, Serge Ibaka, different play.
Serge Ibaka with those spicy P-lays of the day, but not all players can be the spicy P-lays of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the OG's plays of the day, it's got to go to me, Riker, from all those and ones that the Nets would be getting from just offensive rebounds that would completely swing momentum. And another one that specifically happened, Wilson Chandler, those momentum swinging plays are the OG's plays. And the biggest one, including the and ones that they got off rebounds, was a Wilson Chandler banked in three. The Raptors started picking up their defense. I believe they just had a fast break score, and then Wilson Chandler comes up and just banks in an ugly contested three. I didn't realize Wilson Chandler was still in the league until we saw him on the game on Saturday, but there was just a lot of those deflating plays, which made this game not exciting to watch as a Raptors fan, and made me say, oh geez, every time they went in.
Ben, wouldn't you agree that this whole game was an oh geez?
Yep. No, that's big facts. I guess another one too that I want to get in here. I don't know where else we'd put it. But did you see the lineup that they ran with Rondae at center, McCaw's like the power forward, TD was out there, I believe Fred was out there, and we were just an extremely small lineup at one point, and then the Nets had DeAndre Jordan in there, and they were just bullying us down low. It was like McCaw and Rondae as our power forward and center.
Yeah, OG was in that lineup too, I
believe. OG
but,
was in there, yeah.
No, I agree. They're maybe emulating the Houston Rockets style offense, defense.
But the Rockets are trying to get three shooters out there. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson can't shoot. Patrick McCaw wasn't knocking down the threes tonight. OG wasn't even really knocking them down tonight. It's a lot of small guys that weren't able to shoot the ball in the court during that lineup. That was definitely an OG's lineup out there, in my opinion.
Ben, you know the expression "win by the three, die by the three"? That's probably the Houston Rockets mantra. Same thing. Yep. You can't complain about Nick Nurse. Like, we can't be high on Nick Nurse for his creativity with offensive lineups during a win streak and then criticize him during a loss. I mean, he was probably seeing like, hey, we're in a slump all game long. Let's put out this crazy small ball lineup and see if we can run the fast break on them. Didn't really work out. We just got bullied down low by their, the centers like DeAndre Jordan, but that's it. I agree. It's an OG's, but sometimes you got to try.
No hate to Nick Nurse being creative. Yeah, no hate to Nick Nurse being creative. We love seeing the different lineups, but that one definitely made me say, oh, geez, going that small with not that many shooters. But finally, the infamous, the one, the only DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award. Riker, you want to take it away with this one?
The Toronto Raptors? Do you have something more specific?
That's fair. I guess I brought it up a little bit earlier. The bench tonight for the Raptors really struggle to, because usually when the starters are struggling, you want your bench to come in and get some buckets. TD 0 of 6. Matt Thomas, he only had 3 minutes, 0 of 1. McCaw 1 of 6. Rondae was 2 of 3, but was forcing his game a little bit into the paint of Jordan. Didn't have much room. Chris Boucher 1 of 3. 2 open threes completely missed. The bench combined for 7 points in this one, and that's not going to cut it against any team you're playing.
No, it's definitely not. But I consider this more of an abnormality than.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't, we needed this rest, and we knew that this was finite. It's not we're not going to close the season off on a infinite win streak here, Ben. It had to happen eventually, and unfortunately, it was against the Nets on the road.
Yeah, no, it was a sad game. We would have liked the win streak to go into the All-Star break, but tough loss. Tough loss is the only way to put it. I guess you heard it here. The Raptors shouldn't tank despite, going on a 15-game win streak and losing a tough one. But no, it was a tough game. But let us know what you guys think about this one. Let us know what you guys' thoughts are on this whole team, the first half of the season. I guess we're over halfway through, but before the All-Star break, what to expect from this team going forward. Let us know in the comment section below. You're the best for making this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Got a lot of cool content for you guys coming, so stay tuned to the channel. Riker, you have any last words on this Brooklyn Nets game?
Ben, I'm literally folding my laundry as we do this podcast. That's how tuned out or zoned out I am with this loss. We're looking forward to All-Star break. Let's say that much.
Most definitely.
Cheers.